Hello, everybody. Time now for Truth, Justice in the NBA for this Tuesday, May 12th of 2015. Coming up, we'll be talking about Golden State and how they bounced back in Game 4 after dropping Game 3 at Memphis to the Grizzlies. But first, we're going to be talking about Los Angeles, not the Lakers, but the Clippers. And now they're one game away from making it to the conference finals, and that would, of course, put the Clippers in some history talk. And for Chris Paul, it would be history for him because it would be the first time he's ever played in the conference finals. Games 3 and 4, no doubt, for a franchise that for so many years was known as the losingest franchise amongst the four major sports, baseball, football, hockey, and, of course, basketball, now have an opportunity to really get the laugh on everybody else. Games 3 and 4 from Staples, and it had been dominated by the Clippers. That's right, scoring 124 in Game 3, and then in Game 4, scoring a whopping 128. That's right, a combined 252 points compared to that of Houston's futile effort of scoring just 194 combined. Yeah, it's been that dominant. And I think the biggest reason is because of the play of the front court of the Clippers. Yeah, it helps to have Chris Paul back after missing games 1 and 2 due to the hamstring. Paul came back in Games 3 and Games 4, and it's really been the play of Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. They have no question been the dominant force so far for the Clippers, and they even, played pretty well in game number 1 in that upset win at that time over the Rockets. But when you can get bench play, that helps. How about Austin Rivers? A lot of people thought that the only reason why he was on the Clippers was because his dad, Doc, coaches. But Austin had a career high in game number 3 with 25 points. You don't expect that from Austin Rivers playing in his first ever playoffs, including a whopping 10 of 13 from the field. He, no question, was the talk of that night as far as bench players, as the Rockets bench got outscored by the Clipper bench 46-25 in game 3. Even more eye-opening, J.J. Redick wasn't playing 42 or 45 minutes. We saw him play about that much, respectively, in games 1 and 2. Look, when you have Chris Paul back, it means more than just taking a little bit of the load off Redick. It means that you can limit Redick's minutes, and he's more effective if you shave, some minutes off of his time. And for Redick, it showed he had 31 points in the game. For L.A., it was domination from the third quarter onward after Houston made a bit of a run to close out the first half, only down by 7. And then the Clippers took control with 35 third quarter points compared to that of Houston's 19. And free throw shooting continues to be eye-openingly bad for Houston. 18 of 31 from the stripe were the Rockets for only 58%. And not that it really mattered because the Clippers were winning big anyway, but the Clippers had 82% from the free throw line. When you look at this game, you look at one big thing. Late in the third quarter, we saw the Clippers take charge. In fact, Houston didn't even score a point the last 3:45 of the third quarter. Look, Dwight Howard, he's going to get rebounds, okay? Now, whether he scores a lot of points, who knows? In Game 3, he didn't. He only had 14. The Beard, James Harden, typically he'll put up points, and he certainly did. But Houston knows that they're going to have to get points from their bench. And Josh Smith, who I thought played fantastic against Dallas in that series, well, this series has been a little bit different story. He was just 3 of 10 from the field and only 7 points in that game. So you could tell that Houston's not playing the same as they did in that last series. Jason Terry, frustration got the best of him. He gets ejected in the third quarter after a tripping altercation with Blake Griffin. So could Houston respond? Well, of course, we know the answer was no in game number 4. In fact, Kevin McHale said it best after game number 3. And he might as well have said it at the end of game number 4 in repetition. He said that basically our team defense went to hell. Gee, you think? Giving up 252 combined points from games 3 and 4. Yeah, as bad as game number 3 was for Houston, game 4 was even worse. And then, Dwight Howard, Superman, they call him, even he was frustrated. He fouled out barely 2 minutes into the fourth quarter. And so, his minutes, were limited in the game anyway. Howard only had a limited amount of points in games 3 and 4. In fact, only scored 7 in game number 4. And again, it was the front court that did the job for the Clippers. And you got to give them credit for continuing to dominate the paint and pretty much make Houston's front court, led by Howard, very unseen. And also, too, when you get balance from Austin Rivers with 12 and Redick with 14, Chris Paul, his second game back from the injury, he had 15 in the game. But DeAndre Jordan was the guy that really stepped up. 26 points, 17 rebounds. Hey, not only did DeAndre Jordan lead the NBA this year in rebounds with about 15 a game, so far he's leading the playoffs in rebounds with about 13.4 per contest. So you again see what's been going on. The Clippers been more aggressive in the paint. They're winning the rebounding, and also, too, they're taking better care of the ball. Houston only was able to limit the Clippers to 11 turnovers. In the meantime, Houston had 21 team turnovers. That led to 23 Clipper points. So can the Clippers close it out? Coming up soon, game number 5 from Houston at the Toyota Center. Going to be pretty tough to do it because, Houston's crowd's going to be extremely electrified to try to keep this season going. I'm sure Houston will be playing out of desperation. You might be able to have enough energy to get through tonight, but remember, Chris Paul did not play in games 1 or 2, which both games were at Houston, so easier said than done. Even if Houston can get through tonight, I don't think they can go to Staples and win game number 6. Currently, the big key has been DeAndre Jordan getting as many boards as he wants, and Blake Griffin being able to get both points, assists, and, of course, rebounds as well. Basketball is about rebounding more than anything else because you're not always going to be able to shoot 55, 60% from the field every night. But rebounding is the common theme in basketball that wins games. Rebound to limit the other team, but offensive rebounds when you have the ball too for those second and third chances. That's where you can really win games, especially on the NBA level. So we'll see if the Clippers can close it out. And if so, they'll be playing in the conference finals for the first time ever. And then looking at Golden State, you knew after game number 2, Memphis meant business, and they meant business big time with Mike Conley and his heroics in game number 2. It seemed to really transfer in game number 3. Remember, Conley's had the facial injury, and also remember, too, he's had to deal with foot issues as well. So wounded, but not maybe showing it as much as we would see. Memphis took game number 2 and made game number 3 count in front of a primetime ABC audience Saturday night and held Golden State to a mere 89 points, including just 39 points at halftime. And, at that point, ever since Steph Curry got his MVP trophy, so far he hasn't played like the MVP. He slumped in game 2. Game number 3 had 21 points, but 8 of 21 from the field. That won't get it done. Draymond Green was bad, one of the best supporting players for your number 1 and 2 scorer you can have in the NBA, and a good defender. Well, Green only was 1 of 8 that night from the field. Harrison Barnes contributed with 16. Thompson shot better after the dismal game 2. But the bottom line was that this game was played at Memphis's pace, and we saw too that Memphis was Zach Randolph getting 22 and Gasol incredibly balanced with 21 points and 15 boards, that the front court of Memphis was more impactful in game number 3 than that of the back court of Golden State. And when you can get a player, the former center like Kufas from Denver chipping in, with 4 from the field from 8 points, that was an added bonus for the Grizzlies. And the defensive play of Tony Allen showing why he might be the best defensive player in the league with 4 steals. He's a menace for whoever he covers. So Memphis won game 3 and had the team with the league's best record in trouble, up 2-1 with that 99-89 win. So what do you do if you're Curry? What do you do if you're Golden State? You shake it off, and you bounce back, and boy, did they ever. From the first quarter onward, Golden State showed why they won 67 games and lost just 15 during the regular season. Jumping all over the Grizzlies, scoring 61 points in the first half, again after only having 39 in the first half in the previous game. Biggest stat in the game, besides the fact that Steph Curry bounced back, making 11 of 22 from the field, including 4 threes, the fact that you had the big 3, him, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson combining for 64 points. Remember, in game number 3, the 3 only combined for 47. Makes a whopping difference. And you can tell maybe Mike Conley showed a little bit of those MASH wounds, okay? We're not going to play the MASH theme for you, but just to show you, Conley only had 10 points in the game, shot 15 times, and only made 4 of them. Gasol did have 19 points in the game and had 10 boards, but Tony Allen shot the ball poorly and was just 2 of 9 from the field. And really, his primary purpose should be defense. So probably don't want him shooting that many if you know that he's not going to give you a whole lot offensively. Defensively is where Tony Allen is best suited. 3-pointers on the night, maybe the main team stat in this game. 14 for Golden State, just 4 for the Grizz. So Golden State gets home court advantage back, having a little bit difficult time against Memphis than any of us thought we would. The series tied at 2, but Game 5 will be at Golden State, and we do know there'll be a Game 6 at Memphis. So the key to these Western Conference playoffs as we close out the show, if the Clippers can close out Houston, that's valuable rest time for the Clippers, especially for their point guard Chris Paul. With that hamstring, gives it a little more opportunity to be fresher once the conference finals start. So we know that the Golden State-Memphis series has 2 more games to go, at least 2 more. And if you're the Clippers and you can close things out, if you get your wish, the Grizz and the Warriors will go 7. We'll wait and see. One more note about the Western Conference. We just found out that despite leading his team to the playoffs, this head coach lost his job. Monty Williams, who was there for a few seasons, I think 5 years with the Pelicans, was guaranteed 1 more year on his contract. Didn't happen. Loses his job. He's fired. Adios to Monty Williams. And he wasn't the only coach this year from the Western Conference that lost his job despite going 45-37. Of course, Scott Brooks of the Thunder did as well. How ironic, huh? Next show, we'll talk about the Eastern Conference. And again, the buzzer beater determines another game. But this time, it wasn't Rose, but that guy from Cleveland that goes by the initials LBJ. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how Atlanta got even with Washington as well. So long for now.